Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you all. Welcome in this webinar. And we're really happy that you are joining us here. You see quite a number of panelists on the screen already, who you will also, they will talk later, you will hear them. But welcome to this webinar on enabling agricultural innovation systems for developing science, technology, innovation roadmaps for Sustainable Development Goals in the context of post-COVID-19. Quite a mouthful, so also an important topic. There's lots of issues to discuss. And we have a panel of well-experienced colleagues amongst our midst who will share their ideas, suggestions, experiences on this topic. So my name is Helena Postumus. I am currently the project director of Desira Lift, a service facility to the Desira initiative of the DG International Partnerships of the European Commission, and I will be moderating today's session. But the session itself is organized by the Tropical Agricultural Platform, TAP, and its partners. And today we want to discuss the potential of innovation in agri-food systems from an agricultural innovation systems perspective in particular. So panelists who are here will highlight their regional and national experiences in strengthening the capacity of such agricultural innovation systems, and also how these innovation systems can contribute to more efficient, inclusive, resilient, and sustainable agri-food systems. We have a tight schedule. We have many interesting panelists, so I will try to keep time strictly. And I want to invite, to help us opening this webinar, I want to invite Ismahan El-Wafi as Chief Scientist at the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations to kick off and to open this session.
Thank you very much, Elena. Good morning, everybody. Really a pleasure to be with you here. Excellencies, distinguished panelists, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really pleased to provide opening remarks to this important side event led by FAO with our partners. As we know well, climate change, COVID-19, conflict, and surging food prices have had a significant impact on food security and nutrition security, particularly, unfortunately, as always, in low and middle income countries. The devastating effects of these global challenges have highlighted the need and critical role of science, technology, and innovation for achieving food security and nutrition in a sustainable way. Agricultural innovation systems are at the center to unlock the potential of science, technology, and innovation at the country level, and to contribute to the policy process for much needed agri-food system transformation, and of course, to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal, particularly number 2 on zero hunger. Enabling the agricultural innovation system, including agricultural research, bridging institution, extension and advisory services, farmers' organization, business enterprise, and their enabling environment at all levels can effectively contribute to bring agriculture and food security perspective into a multi-sectoral and the broader science, technology, and innovation agenda and the roadmap for achieving SDG and Global Development Agenda 2030. We have witnessed that all the above agricultural innovation system actors were at the front line of response to COVID-19 pandemic, which emphasized their critical role in providing demand-driven support services. However, all these institutions are severely constrained due to chronic underinvestment, significant caps in terms of capacity, institutional fragmentation, weak coordination among the institutions themselves, the lack of enabling policies to promote demand-driven research and extension, and the absence of incentives for scaling up technologies and innovation at the country level. The gaps between agriculture education, research, extension, and the agricultural producers and their organization have widened due to the disconnection and the complex institutional landscape and the multiple challenges faced by smallholders. And we have to say that this is happening across the board, from the US to Europe to Africa and Asia. The situation leaves more than 75% of the agricultural producers with inadequate access to innovation, extension, and advisory services. Investment in agricultural innovation systems and their institutions are inadequate, especially in low and lower middle income countries. For example, if we look at the agricultural research investment for all countries worldwide, it is at 0.72%, which means for every $100 we are spending $100 of agricultural GDP, we are spending only 72% in agricultural research and development. And for low-income countries, it's only 34 cents. So for every $100 GDP, agricultural GDP, we are spending only 34 cents on research and development, which is extremely low. The share of global public sector agricultural research spending by low-income countries, it's dismissal at 2%. Recent data indicate that the share of food and agricultural research and development in the total global R&D spending has declined from 8 to 5%. So not only it's low, but it's getting lower as we move forward, whereas agriculture as a source of nutrition, as a source of income as well, it's very important, and a source of climate change adaptation. On the other hand, evidence from studies consistently shows that investment in agri-innovation system, including agricultural research for development and advisory services, have very high rates of return as they contribute to the co-design and sharing of technologies and innovation. So the scalability and the sustainability of technologies and innovation depend very much on the capacity of the agri-innovation system actors, as they are at the center of the multi-stakeholder engagement process, and also to provide evidence base for policy process. Therefore, the capacities of the agri-innovation systems must be enhanced, giving them a clear mandate for agricultural research for development, of co-creation of innovation, of sharing of good practices with producers and value chain actors, and contribution to the policy dialogue and related processes. Enabled agri-innovation system allow for the necessary paradigm shift to address multiple challenges faced by the agri-food system, and are capable of bringing agriculture and food security perspective into a broader STI roadmap for SDGs at the country level. I'm really confident that this important side event in the margin of the 8th multi-stakeholder forum on STI for SDGs will draw much needed attention and showcase interesting regional and national perspective and good practices. I'm really happy that FAO is investing in the agri-innovation system and is really leading the discussion globally on how to redesign extension services and advisory services so that we bring to the farmers, particularly the small-scale producers, all the technologies, all the innovation that they could improve their productivity, their sustainability, their resilience, but also their livelihood and their lives and livelihood. Thank you very much. I wish you all an active participation and successful deliberation. And thank you very much. And over to you, Elena. Thank you.
Thank you. We will move on to the next speaker. In the meantime, I do want to encourage participants to use the chat or the Q&A box to ask questions or to engage in a discussion also. Next up is Guy Faure. He is Senior Policy Officer at the European Commission in Brussels. Guy, the screen is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to talk about our Desira initiative. We found this initiative, which is supporting research and innovation to support food system transition under climate change and under biodiversity loss. We are here because we support through this Desira initiative institutions driving research innovation at the global level or at regional level. In Africa, for example, we support, for example, TAP, the Tropical Agricultural Forum, to support this vision regarding agricultural innovation system, but we also support CADEP XP4 organization in Africa, for example, FARA and CORA, for example. But Desiree initiative also support research and innovation project. We found around 70 research innovation project, around 340 million euros regarding this project. And we want to make sure that this research and innovation project contribute to the to innovation and contribute to the SDG. So all the research and innovation projects supported by Desiree share some common features. First of all, we support innovations through multi-stakeholder approach. As mentioned before, it's quite important to have on board research, but also extension services, farmers organization, private sector actors to work together to produce knowledge, but also to design innovation, to co-design innovation, and to scale innovation. So these the different research and innovation project addressing this multi-stakeholder approach. Depending on the project, the participation could take different shapes, let's say. But in every case, we have NGO, farmers organizations, public sectors, private sectors, actors involved in these projects. The second element is to be sure that every project is able to strengthen capacities to innovate, capacities of researchers in Africa or in Asia, in Latin America, to strengthen the capacity of their own organization, but also the capacity of other stakeholders to be able to innovate, to design new technology, to produce new knowledge, to improve their environment, to at least have a dialogue with policymakers. The third point is to be sure that every project is able to contribute to policy dialogue, at least to have a kind of dialogue with policymakers, to make sure that the results of research innovation projects are shared and used by policymakers and transformed in policy, but also to be sure that the projects are able to contribute to improve the enabling environment for innovation. So there's elements, capacity strengthening, multi-stakeholder approach, dialogue with policymakers are key elements, key ingredients to support innovation. And for us, is part of an agricultural innovation system perspective. So in this regard, I'm quite interested in listening to the other speakers to better understand their point of view regarding research innovation to contribute to innovation. Thank you.
Thank you, Guy. And I want to invite a third speaker to help us set the scene for the discussions after this. Selvaraju Ramasamy, Senior Agricultural Officer at the FAO Office of Innovation, and also heading up the Secretariat of the Tropical Agriculture Platform, TAP. Selvaraju, can I give you the floor?
Thank you, Helena. FAO Chief Scientist, Ms. Eluafi. FAO Liaison Office in New York, Mr. Chu, and distinguished panel members and participants. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you all. Thank you very much for joining us this morning for this very important side event. As it is already mentioned, agricultural innovation system for us, it comprises of network of actors, and also they are supporting institutions and policy that govern the functioning of these institutions together for co-creation of knowledge and innovation. Policies and institutions shape the way these actors, the multiple actors of agricultural innovation system, interact with each other and generate and share and use knowledge as well as jointly learn from themselves. The AAS actors comprises the different institutions that was already mentioned. It includes research, extension organizations, other bridging institutions, private sector, farmers organizations, business enterprises, etc. AAS is in a unique position to support or to develop evidence-based for development of policies and strategies at the national level, especially focusing on agriculture and food security aspects. In turn, this can also support the broader STI roadmap for SDGs that is more of a multi-sectoral. However, their capacity to participate in the policy processes is weak, as we all know that the capacity of these AAS actors in participating in the policy processes always there is a gap. And FAO, together with partners of the Tropical Agriculture Platform, have developed a series of tools and methods how to bring in these institutions into the broader multi-sectoral stakeholder perspective so that they could provide the necessary ingredients for the policy processes as well as to promote the policy dialogue with giving much needed importance to agricultural innovation systems. We have developed over the years for the last 10 years from 2014 onwards, and also since the inception of the Tropical Agriculture Platform in 2012 during the Mexico presidency as a G20 Max initiative. We have developed a number of concepts, principles, tools, and methodologies. And the European Commission has been supporting us for a number of years for implementation of the projects to learn the lessons from the countries, especially the capacity development for agricultural innovation systems in 8 countries together with AgriNatura between 2016 and 2019. And then afterwards, from 2019 onwards, scaling up of the Tropical Agriculture Platform tools and methodologies in 9 countries in 3 regions. Asia Pacific, Africa, and also Latin America and Caribbean. Overall, the common framework that we have developed emphasizes the crucial role of facilitation, co-creation of knowledge sharing, as well as that of reflection and learning for enabling agricultural innovation. The framework recognizes 3 dimensions of capacity development. That's 3 different levels. The first one is the individuals. The second is organizations and institutions, and the third is at the enabling policy environments. And these dimensions must be viewed as interconnected, and the capacity development efforts should be concurrent. And to strengthen a system-wide capacity, all these dimensions must be addressed concurrently. In the context of AAS, the common framework stresses the importance of partnerships and networks in creating that interconnectedness. And the Tropical Agriculture Platform is the best example how we engage the different partners. And currently we have 54 partners, and most of the partners are network of networks, bringing the experiences from the countries on the research for development as well as extension advisory services, and participation of civil society organizations and private sector in the co-creation of innovation. We recognize 5 different types of capacities within this common framework. The first one is capacity to navigate the institutional complexity at the national level, which is fundamentally lacking, because when we talk about the capacity development, mostly we focus on the technical capacity development, not per se on the functional part.
Yeah.
So the functional part here, we recognize 5 different types of capacities. The first one is, as I mentioned, capacity to navigate the complexity or complex institutional landscape. And the second is capacity to collaborate among each other. And the third is capacity to reflect and learn from each other. Fourth is capacity to engage in your strategic and policy processes. And the fifth is capacity to adapt and respond in order to realize the potential of innovation. So overall, This emphasizes the co-creation of innovation, which is completely different from the supply-driven type of research mode that we have experienced during the Green Revolution times. So overall, the approach of inclusive innovation shift the focus from reactive problem solving to co-creation and the learning, leaving no one behind. And this perspective is completely integrated as part of the common framework. As I mentioned, we focus on 3 different levels. Just complete now. We focus on 3 different levels. The first one is system level, focusing on the enabling environment. And the second is institutional level, focusing on the innovation support services that includes research, extension, private sector, etc. And the third one is the innovation niche partnerships, where we can demonstrate and implement concrete actions together with the farmers. So there are a number of tools and methods we have developed, and all these tools and methods are available on the website. And it is also widely disseminated through the network of partners in the Tropical Agriculture Platform. And we are really eagerly waiting to listen from our partners from the regional research and extension organizations, and also from the countries during this important side events. Thank you very much for your attention. Over to you, Elena.
Thank you, Selvaraju. That was a challenging job to explain the current status and thinking on agriculture innovation systems, where we are, what you've done at TAP. So thank you for explaining that. We move on to, we've heard the importance of agriculture innovation systems, importance of innovation, a bit of the context and the thinking behind it. But what we now want to do is to move on to the panelists to share some of the on-the-ground experiences in how can you strengthen these agricultural innovation systems, or how to unlock the potential of innovation. So I have very interesting panelists with me here today. I'll just introduce them briefly first, and then I'll ask them to respond to some questions. So on the panel, we have Ravi Katarpal is the Executive Secretary of the Asia Pacific Association of Agricultural Research Institution, APARI. Welcome, Ravi. We have also from Asia, Lanoy Sinavong. She is a Senior Social Science Researcher under the Deputy Director of Planning and Cooperation of the National Agriculture and Forestry Research Institute, NAFRI, in Lao PDR. We have from Africa, Max Olupot, who is Director of AFAS and also coordinator of the Eastern Africa Field School Support Hub, and also chair of the Tropical Agricultural Platform. So welcome, Max. Also from Africa, Malawi, we have Sarah Chione. She works in research ethics at Lilongwe University of Agriculture, but is also connected to the Ministry of Agriculture. We also have from Africa, Ibrahim Abdul Razak. He is head of capacity development unit at FARA in Ghana. And then we have from Latin America, we have Maria Isabel Paredes. She's program officer of the Latin American Network for Rural Extension Services, RELASER, also welcome. And we have Murat Sartas, who is Executive Secretary of the European Forum on Agricultural Research for Development, EVARD, amongst many other positions that he holds. So welcome all of you. And I want to start off just with a question to each of you, where from your own experience, how can we best unlock the potential of agricultural innovation to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals? So I invite you to give a short reflection on your experience, and maybe if you can, to also highlight maybe 2 priorities that we should address to unlock the potential of innovation. And Ravi, I want to ask you to respond first. You are muted, Ravi. Please unmute yourself.
Thank you, Helena. Thank you for the question. Well, before I speak on the priorities, or the 2 important priorities as you were asking, let me say a very brief background that the Asia Pacific region has many examples of science, technology, and innovation which can lead to economic development. And United Nations Economic and Social Commission of Asia Pacific, UNESCAP has developed STI roadmaps for a couple of countries. Now, COVID-19 pandemic, it actually unveiled the fragility of development strategies that rely on narrow economic objectives, which is now making UNESCAP revisit the science, technology, innovation roadmaps. With this, I can say that harnessing the potential of science, technology, and innovation will be pivotal for Asia, which houses the 60% of the demography of the world, and which has all kinds of countries, right from the least developed to the developing to the highly developed countries. So we are a cocktail of various kinds of economies in the region and hence the development. Having said that, I will come to the two priorities for unlocking the potential of this innovation system to contribute to harnessing the science, technology, innovation strategies for achieving the SDGs, as has been mentioned. First priority, I would say, will be technical, and second priority, I will say, will be fiscal. Again, on the technical side, I would say it is the capacity to innovate, which has been amply highlighted by Dr. Silva Raju. This capacity to innovate to enable effective use of new and existing information, knowledge, technology, and solutions that facilitate innovation. This calls for a blending of the functional capacities with technical capacities. APARI has mastered the blending of technical and functional capacities and applied it in many countries of South Asia and Southeast Asia, and still applying in the projects from USDA, project from WTO, project from ACIAR, and so on. It requires a very context-specific blending, whether we talk of the policy and regulatory framework, or we talk of some technological diagnostic tool, or we talk of anything else in terms of partnership and networking. COVID crisis actually made us work on a project on sustenance of seed supply chain, where we are following all the innovative procedures, using the capacity to innovate for safe trade, and also the One Health, which is being highly emphasized. We have got a project recently where we are bringing this element of capacity to innovate. Over here, I would like to really thank the Office of Innovation of FAO, and specifically the Tropical Agriculture Platform, which helped us to get a clear picture of the capacity development for the agriculture innovation system.
Ravi, I need to ask you to move on to your second priority and finish.
Okay, but another quick under technical is the embedding agriculture innovation system in national policies and practices, which I will not highlight much. My second priority, Helena, is fiscal one. Is the assessment of agriculture innovation system is required to inform the need for increased investment to incentivize agriculture innovation. The fiscal space needed to address these challenges has been severely affected, first by the pandemic, then the war in Ukraine, and now historically high inflation and rising interest rate. And this has been highlighted by Isa Mahan also, how poorly we are investing in the agriculture innovation system. And also an increasing number of developing economies in the region in Asia Pacific are running high level of public debt and experiencing rising public debt distress at a time where they need to invest heavily to ensure inclusive, resilient, and sustainable well-being for all the people. I stop here, Helena. Thank you.
Thank you. Max Olipot, I also want to ask you, from your perspective, representing the advisory services, to answer the same question. How can we best unlock the potential of agricultural innovation, and what would be the two main priorities? Try to keep it brief, please.
Thank you, Helena. I'll indeed keep it very brief, since my senior has done a great job already, Ravi, but also to basically do a disclaimer that while I am the director of programs at AFAS, not the executive director, for record. That time will also come when you wish me well and everything will be fine. Now, the topics first of all is very, very important. In terms of the extension and advisory services, we really cherish innovation. And for AFAS, this has been the song that we're talking about because we always talk about innovation, not only at our level as scientists, but innovation that goes to the last mile. Therefore, moving the story quicker, recently I realized that, when people have been really taking the password or the buzzword of saying, leaving no one behind, it is thought to be having a lighter version. But I now start to notice that leaving no one behind is very, very critical in science, technology, and innovation if we really have to move the agricultural research and innovation to the last mile. Therefore, some of my priorities already include continued partnerships, collaboration, and creating an ecosystem where people can genuinely work together and cherish each other's efforts, each other's resources which are available, and sharing this in a way that we can be able to contribute to the innovation, but also create knowledge in the atmosphere that can be accessed by our stakeholders. The second issue is while we have really gotten a lot of experience across the globe, we found that the functional capacities still remain a very big challenge, right from highly trained people, right from the leadership, right from a number of, so therefore, functional capacities, which is one of the core things that TAP has been promoting, will be very critical in driving science, technology, and innovation across the globe. And working together again will only make this come to a reality, and we can be able to change the narrative. So from where we stand as the extension, I think this is very important. For also Africa, you can relate this to African Union Commission strategy on technology, science, and innovation, which is already there up to 2024. And I think there are a lot of linkages that we can always tap in this strategy. But also going back to the global context again, from us and the Global Forum for Rural Advisory Forum, GFRAS, we've been promoting what we call the new extension learning kit, which actually promotes a lot of functional capacities. So for me, I feel that we have a lot of leverage, we have a lot of things that we can work together and change and be able to ensure that science, technology, and innovation comes to the reality and thus contributing to sustainable development goals. Thank you, Helena.
Thank you, Max. And for the participants who attend this webinar and they are not familiar with functional capacities, Selvaraj, you tried to explain it very quickly this morning, earlier in the session, but you can find more information on the TAP website if you are interested. Ibrahim Abdul Razak, I'd like to invite you to also share your views.
Thank you very much, Helena. Thank you, everyone. Sorry, I mean, let me just ask my colleague to
go ahead.
Yeah. So, Abdulrazak Ibrahim from FARA here in Accra. Good morning, good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. So here in FARA, as you know, we are the technical arm of the African Union. We coordinate agricultural research development, and particularly innovation is of high importance. And we have been working with all of the different partners, including the FAO, the GFA, the sub-regional organizations, and all of them. And the whole thrust is to really see how we can deliver on the goals of CADA, the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Plan, which also connects to the African Union Agenda 2063 and obviously to the SDGs. And we do this, using the approaches that focus on innovation and partnership to impact pathway, institutional capacity for future scenarios, knowledge management to support decision support, and then policy. So in terms of strengthening capacity for innovation, we approach that using 4 thrusts. The first is about identifying institutional capacity needs and the relevant tools that can be used in bridging capacity gaps. So in this case, particularly the tools from CDAs, the TAP tools have been very, very useful in terms of the way that we promote them and apply them at country level and support our wider stakeholders in terms of assessing their own institutional capacities and identifying the gaps and how they can bridge them. And the second is about once they identify those gaps, then they will prioritize because they may not be able to address all of the gaps at the same time. So in that respect, you will see that there are various niches of strengthening, of filling those gaps. In some cases, it's around research itself. In some cases, it's on extension, and that's why we work closely with AFAS. In some cases, about the capacity for agribusiness. In some cases, about the capacity for mainstreaming gender in the way that they implement their various programs. And the third thrust is about strengthening capacity for future scenario mapping to support planning. And this is where we do a lot of work around foresight, the tools on foresight in the context of the food systems approach. And finally, building institutional capacity for mainstreaming gender in the way that programs are implemented at country level. And as you know, we work with the sub-regional organizations, the CADEP-XP4 institutions, including AFAS. And we think that to unlock this potential, in terms of innovation, there's the need for more and more collective action so that interconnectedness and the innovation ecosystem remains vibrant. So in this context, we've been working with the CADEP-XP4 institutions, the different institutions working at various levels, training of trainers, advocacy around the TAP tools, the common framework, and supporting countries on how to apply those tools to really evaluate their functional capacities and strengthen them. And there are a number of projects that are part of this process, the CADEP-XP4 project itself. We have now coming on board the Dakar 2 that has various compacts, and in each of these we mainstream the agricultural innovation system approach. The TAT, that's Technologies for African Agricultural Transformation, which is in its second phase now, working with various country members to really scale technologies, but also ensuring that those technologies are from the relevant ecosystem, from the relevant innovation ecosystem that is relevant to the countries. So I would say that in terms of priority, we really want to prioritize institutional capacity. There's been a lot of training, human capital, but without the instrument, without the institution, without that ecosystem that allows for continuous innovation and looking inward to harness local solutions using global knowledge, that transformation that we look for will remain a mirage. And so we follow that also with the food systems approach, the 4 better of the FAO, that's being popularized, better production, better nutrition, better environment, and better life, so that we together as stakeholders, we get to that safe and just space for humanity, as is said. So I'll just stop here and can follow up later with some other comments. Thank you.
Thank you. We swiftly go to Latin America, and I want to invite Maria to also share her views, insights, and experiences on that.
Thank you very much. I've been hearing my colleagues talking a lot about collaboration, and I think that from our experience in Latin America, if we have to highlight one priority, I would say that it's actually exactly that one, to collaborate. What's the situation that we see on the countries? We have agricultural innovation systems that are working, the different stakeholders are working in silos. We have fairly good universities, fairly good research, fairly good extension in some cases, but everybody's doing their own thing. So from this framework, from the TAP framework, they highlight the capacity for collaboration. And I would like to highlight this issue, the importance of collaboration at the different levels. So enabling environment, organizational, and also at the individual and niche level. I think that it's very important that we keep working on that capacity, but not only developing capacity, but also deliberately creating spaces for exchange and collaboration, because this collaboration will not happen as magic, or just it will not appear there. But I think that we have to start thinking on creating these spaces where the different stakeholders meet, where they present their initiatives, their projects, what they are doing, and start from that to collaborate and create synergies between what the different stakeholders are doing and be able to build on that. I think that's the basis for creating like a common work plan at the different levels that is going to allow us to use the different tools that are already developed. I think that in the technology side, and also there are a lot of courses already developed for the different capacities. There are a lot of research that is available, technical information that it's available, but if we were able to really exchange and collaborate and use everything we have there, we will be going a big step further. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Maria. So we heard all of you talk about capacity strengthening, collaboration, investments. Nothing about technology, which is what most people often think about when we talk about innovation, but more about networking and capacity strengthening. To get a bit more insight on how this could work practically, I actually want to invite first Lanoy. Can you give an example of how this works in practice? You have some experience with this in Lao PDR.
Thank you very much.
Please share your example.
Thank you. First of all, thank you. I'm very pleased to share my experience. Let's say I am a social scientist who received the improved capacity on the functional capacity by TAP-AIS project, then namely the capacity of better collaboration. So I also received the capacity on the research, demand-led and market-oriented research trained by this project. So from this knowledge, I have learned that when we would like to have the better research and results, we have to base on the needs. Where is the need is so diversified and is the high demand need from the market. It's also said that when we would like to improve anything, we also need the science, technology, and innovation. It means not only the researcher herself or himself to do it alone. So this is a quite very impressive and very strong message from the project. And also, in addition, from my own experience, and maybe you also, we already realize that's one of the problem or constraint to maximize the existing science, technology, and innovation is the poor linkage between the researcher or scientist and the extension who deliver the good result or available technology to the hand of the farmers. So these problems have been existing from the past, present, and I think it will be continued. So in the Lao context, from my side as a researcher, I have the existing capacity to make better collaboration. So I plan to set up a forum for all the stakeholders in the value chain actors as a place for them to work together. But NAFI as a government side would like to initiate this forum. I named this forum or network as a agricultural innovation islands, where I already have talked to some young and smart private farmers who already good at AI, some female young and women good at their own gardening, to use the solar water pumping, and many existing good innovation in the place now. So I will set up this forum so the researcher from diversified experience will come together in their own convenience and their own time, in the different time, to work with us if they have the same common interest in to work with the farmer. Farmer here, not only the poor farmer. In Laos, we have also smallholder farmer, but in the city, we also have very young and innovative farmers. So those farmer, both category of farmer have different roles. And of course, now we cannot survive to talk about the improvement or innovation without the market or income generation of the farmers. So we also need to invite those private sectors who has the big market as a big market or big place for small or big farmer to sell the product. Also, not only social science will work up to make this innovation happen, we also need many diverse researcher, organization, and voluntary based stakeholder to participate this. So to make this happen, it also need the commitment, not only the idea. We have existing resources. Here I name it as the existing resource, not only about the financial or infrastructure, but capacity that I have gained from this project. TAP-AIS is also existing resources that I can utilize to maximize the existing or low level science and technology innovation, and to make use not only for the farmer, researcher themselves, policymaker, private sector, and all the stakeholders. So that is an example of what I'm trying to do and try to make it happen. Commitment and existing resources to deliver or maximize the existing science and technology. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lanoy. And Sarah, can I also invite you to give an example of how this works from your experience in Malawi?
Thank you so much, Elena, and thanks for all that have spoken before me. It's really interesting to see that there is an emphasis in terms of networking and building the capacities of those that are really key in pushing forward the innovation and the technology that is needed for science and innovation to solve the problems that we currently have. Indeed, we have challenges that if we do not innovate at the end of the day, we are not going to excel in whatever goals that we have, including the SDGs. For an example, Malawi, we through the also different initiatives, including the TAP-AIS, we have realized the importance of pushing forward the innovation and the technology agenda. And what we've done is to have the multi-stakeholder platform. But for us, these platforms are spaces where we go to the grassroots. We work with people in communities, try to work with the structures that are starting from the community level or the village level, where by bringing in different stakeholders in one place, we are able to bring up the issue and then discuss on the platform without one taking their own position and standing on their pole without and not necessarily listening to the other. Recently, we had multi-stakeholder dialogues where we're asking the same question: how do we best innovate? How do we best bring in research in innovation in Malawi? And we really had interesting discussions where we had participation of farmers, private sector, policy holders, researchers, different government representatives, NGOs, and farmer organizations. So through the discussion, what we did was to try and have people be in group based on their area of expertise or where they're coming from, private sector on one side, researchers on one side, those that are promoting dissemination and extension on one side, policy holders, or those that are working on the government side on one side. But interestingly, you would hear that at the end of the day, the views that are coming from these different stakeholders seem to be converging that we need to coordinate at the end of the day. We cannot continue to work in isolation, because then we might have significant and important solutions that if we share this information to whoever is also in our network, we can end up having innovations and coming up with technologies that really respond to the needs. Interestingly, again, we could hear even from the farmers themselves, others would consider that maybe they do not have the local knowledge in doing some of these things. So innovation for us as well, we have learned it's not something that, okay, it's a global issue. We learn from what others are doing at a global perspective. But for us, it's something that can also start from the grassroots, the traditional methods, the local knowledge, the necessary things that people are already doing, but maybe packaging them and then properly trying to understand and assess, having the appropriate data for us to be able to evaluate whatever they are doing. So for us, we are enhancing that local structure response and also that local knowledge that is available in the country to respond to the challenges that the people are facing. Because every day, different categories, including the people, the farmers themselves that are doing production every day, they continue to face different challenges, but also every day they continue to thrive. So what we needed to do, or what we have done, is to try and enhance on that local knowledge by bringing them on a platform where different stakeholders can speak and share knowledge and come up with solutions. So we are no longer taking meetings where or multi-stakeholder platforms where we all present, somebody gets to present their challenge and somebody gets to present the solution to it. What we are saying is we need, if you're bringing a problem, then you also bring a solution so that these can be deliberated. And as a package, you leave one place with a package of what can be done for data improvement. But key to that also is the prioritization that I think the colleague from FADA indicated, as well as the resource mobilization, which is key for implementation of whatever solutions that are there and technologies that have been defined. Thank you so much, Elena.
Thank you, Sarah. Still one panelist we have not heard yet, but I want to invite also Murat Sartas to give his, well, to reflect a little bit maybe on your experiences and examples, because I know you've done a lot of work on innovation. So Murat, please take the floor.
Thank you very much, Elena. Can you hear me? Just to confirm.
Yes, we hear you well.
First of all, it's really, I'm so pleased to be here, and I'm a fan of the innovation, science and technology work of many of the partners for a long while. I have been following TAP-AIS and then transformation into TAP, and also the beautiful experience of Desiree Lift. Thank you very much for providing this opportunity. Maybe before we start, FRD is the European Regional Organization, but it's a bit different. We have a very mature organizational ecosystem in Europe. We have the Commission, we have the AR, we have the AgriNatura and COLASAP and many others. So FRD is a bit of different organization trying to complement existing practices. So our perspective is actually complementary. In terms of, what's our learning trying to bridge Europe, it's the global South in general, being Africa, which I hold partially based in Asia and Latin America, we see two things. The first one is we can frame it as governance intelligence. Governance intelligence, it sounds like business intelligence, that is intention. We know that business, international business, regional business deals with a huge complexity. There are some companies working on globe, but somehow they manage to deal with cultural context differences and have innovative solutions. So we should learn from the business and we should try to develop governance intelligence. What does that mean? We have tools and capabilities to analyze complex networks. In Europe, we have probably thousands of organizations working in the agricultural research innovation space. It is technically possible to identify the whole network and who can do what at best. Or we know that it's possible to map all the organizations working in Africa, Asia, and Europe together by using the modern technologies like AI. It's possible to understand which organization and who can actually do the job in the most cost-effective and productive manner with the largest impact. We talking about functional capacities. I want to follow up with colleagues from Africa and Latin America, but it's also important to have organizational capabilities, and we have some technologies to do that better. And we feel that we really need to use and leverage those technologies for better working together. And in Europe, we have multiple experiences from all across Europe, from East and West and South, and we're trying to share that knowledge. The second highlight, in addition to governance intelligence, we should aim for democratization of decision-making. Agricultural innovation systems are complex by their design, and as Ravi was saying in the beginning, there are multiple challenges. We have the conflicts, we have the climate, which is very important and transformative. We have the economic challenges like inflation. Now it's not feasible for centralized authorities to come up with a good plan. It's very important when we aim for designing agricultural innovation systems to have a democratization lens. What does that mean? We need to build the capabilities of local partners first. Secondly, we need to merge the science and innovation with the local and indigenous knowledge systems. And thirdly, we need to give the right of choice to farmers and the others to choose what is best for them. So in a nutshell, from our, let's say, the bridging experience, we all agree actually what we said, but we have the capacity, as the TAP experience has shown us, to go beyond, build governance intelligence at multiple levels and democratize decision-making. And from Europe, we are ready to share our experience and learning if it's useful. Over to you, Elena.
Thank you, Murat. Time is running away with us. We're already 1 hour into the session. We still have 15 minutes to go. I was trying to see what is in the Q&A, and I want to encourage the panelists to also have a look at the Q&A box where there are some comments and questions. We don't have time to address all of them, but there were some questions related to, for example, how to make sure that the farmers who are also, they often see innovations as a bottom-up approach. How are they involved, or how can we give them space? This was a comment from Hildegard Lingnau from GFAR. There are some questions about how to be sure innovations are feasible, or how to listen to different stakeholders, for example, our government stakeholders, willing to listen, as a comment on Sarah's story. So picking up on the democratization challenge that Murat was pointing out, I'm wondering if any of the panelists want to say a bit more about, indeed, how can we, how do we say this, democratize our agriculture innovation systems thinking to make sure everyone has a voice, to make sure that solutions are feasible, that action is being taken. We're not only talking about capacities, but that we also see change. And I think, Ibrahim, you are unmuting yourself, so you may want to comment.
You got me. You got me with that. Well, thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. No, but we're thinking around democratization of knowledge, and with this agriculture innovation systems thinking, what would come to the mind of someone working in FARA like me is the instrumentality of the innovation platform that we apply in implementing various projects and programs. And this has been shown to be very beneficial. It's been shown to be very inclusive in terms of the coverage, in terms of leaving no one behind, if you like, if I borrow that term, because the innovation platform allows you to bring every stakeholder on the table at the time you're formulating research questions to the very moment you're going to the market, So as you walk through the valley of, in Embrapa, they call it the valley of death, that stage where you need to break between science and market. So as you take on that journey, you bring everyone, the farmer, the women group, the youth, the investors, the beneficiaries, the consumers, and all of that. So I think innovation platform is one way to look at this democratization of decision-making and of knowledge in the context of agricultural innovation. And I think this is probably going to come even more as we fine-tune our understanding and knowledge, and as we share more experience and document our experiences and show the evidence that innovation platform really helps in terms of delivering livelihood. So let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you. Does any of the other panelists want to give a short response, please?
Yes, from our side, I wanted to highlight that I think these issues is very important to always be thinking in the different levels. We've seen, for example, in the case of Uruguay, where they developed these territorial, they call them territorial tables for rural development. But these are spaces where at the territorial level or niche level, the stakeholders meet and discuss about their problems and find solutions. So you have producer organizations, research, extension, the private sector as well included there, all together discussing about the problems in the big rural development context as well, because sometimes the problem is not really the production, but maybe how to extract the produce to the big market or a different problem. And here I could also highlight that what we have to be thinking is how do we set up the right incentives at the institutional level to collaborate as well, because we really need to make this very deliberate and try to guide the institution to put incentives into collaboration and into participation in platforms. I also wanted to highlight a second example. This is more like a national level example, but in the case of the country fora in Costa Rica, we had a lot of discussions because there was a problem with capacities for extensionists. And this discussion came and go, but as the country fora is a place where the different stakeholders are working together, the universities were able to capture the demand and to make an assessment and to propose training programs and to strengthen the curricula in that area. So just to show how the issue of being together and discusses allows a lot of interesting processes in the way. Thank you.
Thank you. And Max, what are your thoughts?
Thank you, Helena. First of all, thank you very much to the participants for excellent questions. I see the questions that the Secretariat needs to put together, and we can respond to some of them later. I think that's very important. And I saw a question very interesting, mindset. And I found that really an issue of also, again, asking about functional capacities, because mindset is about a person, about internal issues that we don't do technological issues and what, but more of about functional skills that you need to change the person to appreciate the situation and be able to change accordingly. But the other part which I saw is the question on how the technologies to the farmers. I think, again, the conversation here is that we need research, extension, other actors to work together, because the narrative of about production of a technology, passing it to the farmer, to the extension worker, passing it to the farmer is a long gone linear way of working. But now again here, the TAP tools give us a very good narrative in terms of the collaboration. I think that's why we emphasize collaboration between research, extension, the agribusiness and others, so that we can be able to reach actually work with the farmers, and then the farmers inform us and we get back. And remember that most of us as well are farmers. So we need to collaborate and collaborate. The last point I wanted to say, Helena, as I close, is that in the conversation on post-COVID, I think post-COVID has really very clearly shown us about resilience and sustainability. I think that's a very important point, that resilience and sustainability amongst the institutions, the way we do business is critical and going forward, because it has been augmented by digitalization of certain technologies, certain innovations, and making sure that those innovations are easily accessed by one, and people's capacities are therefore very needed in order for them to use such tools which are available. And TAP provides a lot of opportunities for this kind of thing through what we do as partners. Thank you.
Thank you, Max. We will slowly move towards the end of the session, but Ravi, maybe just very brief, if that's okay.
I'll be very brief. What I want to highlight, Helena, is we don't have appropriate indicators, qualitative or quantitative, for measuring the outcome and impact of innovation. This is a big limiting factor, actually, to really go ahead with the importance of the innovation for science and technology and all. So this point probably can be looked after by FAO, Office of Innovation, or TAP. Thank you.
Thank you. We're moving, as I said, towards the end of the session. There was one question also in the Q&A that's specifically directed to FAO. The question was, with different extension approaches and players that we have, keeping in mind country sovereignty, uncoordinated government policies, different country capacities, so the diversity we have at national level, how can FAO play a role in national coordination, development, and operationalization of agriculture innovation systems? And I also have Vincent Martin, who will close the session with some closing words. So basically, Vincent, I want to put this question to you. And Vincent Martin is the director of the FAO Office of Innovation. So please enlighten us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Elena. And I'm really glad to join this session. I would like to say hello to all the participants. And so yeah, I've been listening to you during this session. I think it was super interesting what you've just said, and the reflections that were gathered during this session. Maybe I can jump straight to the question you've asked, and then I will come back to some sort of ideas and that came up during the discussion. The first one, so you are asking what role FAO can play in bringing together these different stakeholders to better streamline this actual innovation system. I would like to give you a very concrete example. Just before joining FAO very recently, I was a resident coordinator in Guinea-Conakry. And in my capacity of resident coordinator, I was leading the agenda on the food system transformation on behalf of the UN organizations, with the support of FAO, WFP, FAD, and some other organizations. And as you know, in the framework of this food system transformation agenda, every country has to develop its own roadmap for food system transformation. And what we did concretely as a UN system with FAO in the lead was to help the government develop this food system transformation agenda to bring innovation and science in this roadmap. And from there, see how can we operationalize the roadmap, including this dimension of innovation, science and innovation. And to do that, we were bringing together the different UN agencies interested in food system transformation. We're bringing together the research institutions and the government, but also the civil society organization and other stakeholders that could participate to this food system transformation and the operationalization of the roadmap. So in a nutshell, I think it's FAO can be in the leading position at the country level within the broader UN system to lead this conversation, bring the different stakeholders together, and help operationalize the roadmap for food system transformation. That's my straight answer to your question.
Thank you, Vincent. And I think with that, we come to the end of this session, unless if Vincent, you still want to add something, or Ismahan, maybe. Any closing words?
Maybe before Ismahan, maybe wrap up this this session. I mean, there is something I would very interesting to hear about this. Agricultural innovation system, collaboration and networking, both bottom-up and co-creation of knowledge, etc., etc. I think that came very clearly during the discussion. There is something that we are doing in the Office of Innovation and the leadership of Ismahan we are building this agro-food system, technology and innovation outlook. And this is something which is, I think, very important, that links up very nicely with the conversation we have had today. We don't have a clear vision, a clear understanding of what are the most recent science technologies and innovation that are pre-emergent or emergent, the ones that are coming up and that could really solve some of the problems we are facing these days. So we are building this, we are working on this outlook these days. And I just had a conversation with the private sector this morning to see how we could join our forces around this ATIO. It's called ATIO. And I think that could be something that that will bring some foresight elements also on what are the newest technologies that will emerge in the near future, and how to make this link between what is being, the horizon scanning we will be doing at the international level, and how do we bring it at the country level to the farmers themselves, so that they can use this technology and innovation. I think that's something that is going to come up in the next year to 2 years, and that will make a very interesting link with what was discussed during this session.
Thank you, Vincent, Martin. I'm just curious, are there any final words from New York, since you are the STI?
Sure, Elena, and thank you very much to all partners. That was a very rich discussion, and really, as we said earlier, and as also Selva explained, it's really a neglected area when we talk about agricultural innovation systems, and particularly making sure that the continuum of the innovation, it's really making it to those that needs it the most at the country level. So there is a disruption of that cycle, and discussing it with these partners showcase how we are moving ahead, but we need to do more. So from my perspective, Helena, I'm really very grateful for all of you for this event. I'm very grateful to EC, to the European Commission, and particularly Desira to support us. And this is really at the heart, as also Vincent said, and Selva, this is at the heart of what we want to do. As you know, we have a new science and innovation strategy, and the science and innovation strategy with its 3 main pillars are very well connected to the agri-innovation systems. So be it the first pillar on strengthening the science and evidence-based decision-making, that is a crucial area that FAO has been working a lot on, but that we need also to see cross-fertilization between sectors. So for the last 2 years, we have started discussion with the IPCC on climate change, with IPBS on biodiversity, with the health sector, with the energy sector, to see how it's done in the other sector, how science policy comes to be more effective at the global, but most importantly at the national level. Because I think that disconnection at the national level, and we heard it from the colleague, is very important. The second pillar of the strategy on supporting innovation and technology at the regional and country level, it's very important for us, because by the end, we are global players, but the impact is at the local level. And that's where really we have, in our development of the action plan, we have made sure that it's done by the region and by the countries, because nobody understands the issues in a country except its own people. We could bring certain drivers, certain incentives, certain innovations, certain developments, but to really the local understanding, it's really grasped by the people in those institutions, in that context day to day. And that's where bringing innovation and technology at the ground level, it's very important, and that's at the heart of our second pillar in the science and innovation strategy. And we were very delighted to see really that the regional offices, the country offices led the development of the action plan that will basically strengthen science and technology and innovation in all our program at FAO. Thank you very much, Elena, and thank you for everybody for being with us today. And I love very much this virtual from different parts. And we are heading to the Science, Technology and Innovation Forum opening in UN. And be assured the whole UN, it's talking about science, technology and innovation today, much more than any other year I have seen in the last 20 years. Thank you very much, Elena.
Thank you very much, Ismahan. And with that, we come to the end of this session. I want to thank all the speakers and panelists for sharing your thoughts. I know we could speak for a whole week if we wanted to discuss and exchange. Thank you for all the attendees, participants, for your time and your comments, questions that you put to us that we were not able to answer, but we will take them on board. And if you're interested, please check out the websites of FAO and of TAP, TAPopedia, where you can find more information, or just email to the organizers, the TAP Secretariat. But thank you all for today.